Is there a driverless car in your future?
More aid for the typhoon-decimated Philippines.
These and more stories coming to you right now with News 10 at 10 Live.
It's time for News 10 at 10 Live with anchors Haste Walsh and Becca Poons. Weather with Shelby Wank. Sports with Colton Thompson. Field reporter Hunter Shaw. And tonight's special report with Natalie Roberts.
Good evening and welcome to News 10 at 10 Live. There are big problems getting aid to the survivors of Typhoon Haiyan in the Philippine Islands.
What was once a thriving collection of colorful roofs and clustered streets have turned to wet rot and brown lakes. This natural disaster has directly affected at least 10% of the Filipino population, and officials have recently totaled the number of dead to 2,344 as of Wednesday. It is still estimated that nearly 10,000 have died. 30 countries have pledged aid to the struggling nation, but impassable roads have made transfer of goods frustrating.
International aid workers have been burdened with long lines at airports and military bases with no way to reach the devastation. Power outages allow the only two available C-130 cargo planes to fly during the daylight hours. The most affected area of Tacloban has only one unlit airstrip for lightweight vehicles. Jorge Duran Zerdo of the Spanish Red Cross hopes to establish a water treatment plant. The USS George Washington, an American aircraft carrier, has arrived with more helicopters and equipment to also create drinking water. The 2014 Winter Olympics are just around the corner. This winter, the Olympics will be in Sochi, Russia. A legacy of the Olympics is the relay of the famous Olympic torch. The torch has been traveling since October.
The most unique thing about this Olympic torch is that it has journeyed to space. As soon as the newest Russian cosmonauts reached the International Space Station, the torch was taken for a spacewalk. The unlit torch spent more than an hour in open space.
At some time during the land tour, through all 83 regions of Russia, 90% of the Russian population will be in an hour's reach of this torch. The journey will take 123 days until the opening ceremonies.
Shelby has this weekend's forecast for us in the Weather Center.
Thanks, Becca. Tonight it could dip down to 38 degrees with winds around 10 to 15 miles an hour. We'll be back with more details after a short commercial break.
Yellow Twinkies on your mind. See them packaged side by side as your eyes look into mine. Feel your taste buds come alive. It's the brand you're eating, you just can't deny. Now I'll never let them go. We found love in a Hostess cake.
Do you want it? You can have it.
Do you want to split it?
We found love in a Hostess cake. We found love in a Hostess.
Hostess, find your true love today.
Welcome back. It's time for weather at News 10 at 10 Live. Our national weather news is dominated by what is happening here at home. Rain showers, even thunderstorms, are possible in the Mississippi Valley and Midwest, with the threat of snow in the northern plains and northern Minnesota this weekend. The Arctic chill that passed us Wednesday remains in the northeastern states, with temperatures 10 to 20 degrees below average. We'll see November highs of only 25 to 30 degrees from Maine to Pennsylvania. In the west, it will remain rather dry and warm, with high temperatures of 40 to 50 degrees from LA to San Francisco, slipping to the mid-30s in Seattle. Those living along the Gulf Coast can be thankful that they are only dropping to the 45 to 55 degree range. Overall, we have a cold front sweeping across the east that is causing the below normal temperatures, as well as a warm pocket of air over the southern states. Now let's take a look at Iowa. Today's highs were also cooler in the east. It was 54 in Dubuque, 54 in Davenport, rising to 61 in Des Moines. You can see the warmth in the west, with Council Bluffs recording a statewide high of 65. Sioux City at 59, and Mason City, as usual, was the coldest with 52 degrees. The cold front that moved through midweek is so slow-moving that we're not seeing a lot of dramatic weather, but the bound-up humidity from the Gulf Coast is finally making its way up here. Tomorrow in western Iowa, we will see highs again in the upper 50s and lows around 40. There's a 50% chance of rain, so you may want to take that umbrella with you. Sunday you will be warmer with a chance to see 60 degrees. but we will still have a 40% chance of light precipitation. Your Sunday night will dive below freezing again with a low of 26. Monday will be a little drier than your weekend, but will also be a bit chillier. We will start out dry but get colder as the week goes on, so you may want to get your raking done early and break out the winter coat and gloves. For more weather details, visit 10at10live.com. Haste.
Thank you, Shelby. After a frightening and reckless car chase leading Ames police onto the Iowa State University campus, the police shot and killed the unarmed teen. Earlier today, News 10 reporter Hunter Shaw was on the scene to file this report.
TV News came to Ames earlier this afternoon to the site of this recent tragedy. You can see that the grounds crew have erased the scene of the crime, but the emotional scars of those involved will undoubtedly take longer to heal. 19-year-old Tyler Comstock of Boone led police to the city and campus, ending up near Beardshire Hall on Central Campus, where he hit a tree. He continued to move his truck in a threatening fashion at the police officers who repeatedly told him to turn off the truck and come out. The police, fearing for their own safety, finally shot Comstock. He was then transported to a local hospital where he later died. The teen's mother, Sherry Comstock, told authorities that the young man stormed out of the house early that morning, after an argument with his father. After his request for a pack of cigarettes was denied, young Comstock became irrational and left the house in his father's truck. The vehicle was then reported stolen and the police took up the chase. Comstock eventually struck one of the pursuing police cars. The chase then moved on to the heavily pedestrian Iowa State University campus. The university has repaired the final scene, but authorities note that no one feels good about how this ended. Police and court officials have reviewed the case and cleared the police officer of any wrongdoing. Back to the studio.
Thank you, Hunter. Driverless cars are making their way into the United Kingdom. Cars without a human driver have already been in use at London's Heathrow Airport since 2011. There are plans for 100 driverless cars to be tested in cities across the British Isles. The cars travel at a speed of only 12 miles per hour, using sensors to stay away from other objects, such as other cars and buses. Companies like Nissan, General Motors, and Toyota are developing their own plans for fully automated cars. They will be limited to driving where slow speeds are the norm. Don't expect to see them in your hometown anytime soon. And yet another story about America's greatest generation, reporter Natalie Roberts has taken the News 10 van on the road.
When you hear about a rock tour, usually you don't think about actual rocks, but Ray Sorensen II, or Bubba as he is called, does. He is the artist that painted the original Freedom Rock, a 12-foot boulder located in rural western Iowa along Highway 25. This public artwork serves as a thank you to all the veterans that have served this country. Inspired by the movie Saving Private Ryan, he originally painted it in 1999. The public response was so overwhelming, he decided to repaint it every year with new scenes. But this isn't his only masterpiece.
Bubba has painted many rocks around Iowa, like this one here in Sac City along Main Street, directly east of Memorial Park. Bubba has started a Freedom Rock tour, one that he will continue from April to October over the next several years until every county in Iowa, all 99 of them, have their own special and unique Freedom Rock. His goal is to honor American veterans while promoting Iowa tourism. 13 counties now have Freedom Rocks, with 48 more counties on a schedule to create their own special monument. Because of Iowa weather, Bubba can only paint Freedom Rocks from April to October. During the winter season, he spends his time painting murals in locations where veterans tend to gather, such as cafes, Legion halls, and medical clinics that serve veterans. This mural at a Western Iowa Hospital's Veterans Affairs outpatient clinic is dedicated to Iowa farmer Ralph Nepple, a World War II veteran. Only 54 Iowans have ever been awarded our nation's highest honor, the Congressional Medal of Honor. When Nepple's squadron was attacked by a German tank, Nepple almost single-handedly fought off the attack, even after losing one of his legs when a tank shell exploded. He crawled back to his machine gun to finish his job. The mural shows 3 scenes from his life: the battle itself, President Truman awarding him his medal, and his future wife, Rose, giving him a congratulatory kiss. Nepple ended up losing both legs to the injuries, but came home and farmed the rest of his life and died in 1987. The American Legion of Breda, who have their own Sorensen painting, funded this mural to honor Ralph Nepple on behalf of all the veterans who get their care through this clinic. This is what Bubba Sorensen really does.
He honors all of the men and women who put their lives on the line to protect our country. If you would like to know if your county has a Freedom Rock tour scheduled, you can go to www.thefreedomrock.com/tour. We also have more information on the 10 at 10 Live webpage. Back to the news desk.
Remember that driverless technology you told us about, Haste? A Des Moines driver could have used that yesterday. His truck actually hit the second floor of an apartment building on Douglas Avenue.
He was arguing with his wife and threatened to kill himself, but later claimed his foot slipped from the brake to the accelerator pedal. The front wheels of his truck actually climbed up the side of the building and came to rest in a second-floor apartment. The tenant, Laura Gray, and her 2-year-old daughter were startled by the truck entering their living room, but were unharmed in their kitchen. Their home is not habitable. Gray told us she is baffled about how fast the driver must have been going to have reached the second floor of the complex.
The American Red Cross is providing food and shelter for 10 building residents displaced by the accident. The crash is still under investigation. We are heading into a weekend with lots happening at the sports desk. Colton, what can we expect?
Thanks, Becca. In NFL action, the undefeated Kansas City Chiefs travel to Denver to take on the 8-1 Broncos in the marquee matchup of the week, which will serve a key role in deciding the outcome of the hotly contested AFC West division. Kansas City has the league's best defense, while the Broncos feature the #1 offense, led by Peyton Manning and a core of explosive skill players. In the NFC, the 49ers play the Saints in a game which features 2 of the top NFC squads. The Saints are coming off a dismantling of a lackluster Dallas Cowboys team, while the 49ers look to bounce back from an embarrassing loss to the resurgent Carolina Panthers. Both teams have a legitimate shot at getting the #1 seed in the conference, and in a season plagued by mediocrity, on the road to the Super Bowl will likely go through either New Orleans or San Francisco. In college football action, Iowa State plays at Oklahoma. The Cyclone season has been disappointing, but they can still play the role of BCS buster. Iowa is off this week, but have already got the required 6 wins to be bowl eligible. With a game at home against Michigan and on the road against the more confident Nebraska team, the Hawkeyes have a shot at coming out of the season with 8 wins and a New Year's Bowl game, but it won't be easy. While Iowa football is undergoing a resurgence this year, so too is a less publicized team. The Iowa women's soccer team shocked the Big Ten by knocking off Penn State and Michigan on its way to the tournament title game. This miracle team unfortunately lost in the championship to top seed Nebraska, but was selected to participate in its first ever NCAA tournament. We just learned that this evening they lost to Notre Dame, ending their Cinderella season. On Sunday, the Cyclone men's basketball team hosts Michigan at Hilton Coliseum. Iowa State is looking to have another successful year, with freshman guard Monte Morris contributing immediately, sophomore forward George Niang building on a successful first year, and senior leader Melvin Edgem looking to bounce back from an early knee injury. The question on every Iowa State's fan mind is, can Hilton Magic continue? The only game ISU lost at home last year was the controversial overtime loss to Kansas. Hopefully, that home win streak will resume against Michigan on Sunday. In Boston, the city finally has reason to stand proud again. Just 6 months after suffering the horrific tragedy of the bombing at the Boston Marathon, the Bo Sox won their 3rd World Series title in the last decade, going from worst to first after coming in last in the American League East just a year ago, thanks in part to the outstanding play of designated hitter David Ortiz, who won World Series MVP honors. Red Sox president Larry Lucchino called Ortiz the most beloved athlete in the history of Boston. Fans seem to agree with him, as last week in the mayoral election, Big Papi managed to come in 3rd, and he wasn't even on the ballot. The Iowa high school boys teams are playing their semifinal round at the Unidome. We'll tell you who made next week's finals tomorrow, or you can catch highlights on Sunrise Noon on 10 or on our sports page on the web. Haste?
Thanks, Colton. Residents in Memphis, Tennessee are claiming their city workers are just plain lazy. Like any other street, the white lines on Crumpler Road were in need of a paint job. Not only were the street's lines repainted, the neighbors noticed a pile of dead leaves and debris on the side of the road were given a fresh coat of paint as well.
Despite the public reaction, city workers stated they were doing their job according to policy. The city engineer said it's too hard to stop the procession of 3 trucks painting once they had started. The scene has been an internet hit.
To the chagrin of the locals, the line was repainted, on the street this time, last Thursday. Join us tomorrow morning for Sunrise News on 10, and again tomorrow night.
Before then, you can see the news at 10at10.com. Good night.